Hello guys, Lego here, and in today's video I'm going to be doing a Lego Ninjago review. This is of the Lego Ninjago set that released in 2021, and it is the Jungle Dragon from the Island Wave set. So this is set number 71746, and it contained 506 pieces and retailed for $34.99 at the time. So without further ado, let's take a further look at the set. So this is the one and only side builder in this set, and it's a little sort of wind sailor for Zane. So this is just a really simple assembly, but I feel like it's really nice and fits obviously the theming of the wave of sets for the island. And I really like how it's built here with this tiny sort of light blue sail with this shuriken symbol on it here, and how they've used the dragon hilt piece at the top to sort of symbolise the top of the mast essentially. And there's two studs here, so you can obviously stand your Zane minifigure on here, or any minifigure you like, to be honest. So he just stands on there like that, or the other way. And it's just a really nice simple assembly to just go with the set, to be honest. It's quite nice for the price as well of the set, just to get something extra alongside with the dragon. But I also like some of the gold pieces they've used here, like the lacquered gold pieces on the side and as well as on the bottom. So you can imagine these is what's making it levitate or like go across the water, sorry. And he does have two golden katanas, which are just sort of decorative, but you can also imagine they're just sort of storage for the katanas, and Zane can obviously take them out later and use them. But yeah, I don't want to spend too long on here because it's just a really simple build. It sort of speaks for itself, really. But yeah, it's nice to get this in the set. But now let's move on to the main part of the set. So here we have the actual Jungle Dragon itself. And just from first impressions, this is probably one of my most favourite dragons from the Lego Ninjago theme of all time. So this was sort of during the time of, like, I guess, like a soft reboot for the dragons. Because obviously from around the Lego Ninjago movie to about 2018 to 2019, all the dragons started to do a brick-built head sort of form, rather than the moulded heads, which were obviously originally introduced from the original 2011 to like 2013 waves. But I really like how they've sort of combined the two here, where they've gone for moulded parts, obviously, to give it more definition, obviously, to make it look more like a dragon, to be honest. But as well, including brick-built elements to obviously expand upon those parts. So, seeing as I'm talking about it, let's just take a look at the head first. And I really like the detail they've gone for here. They've used the sort of Overlord Dragon bottom jaw here, which has the really sort of erratic, sort of like long spiky teeth. And it is a sort of soft rubbery part on the teeth. And obviously the actual jaw is a bit tougher. But yeah, you can see how they're connected here by these two just Lego droid arms in grey. So the jaw can obviously hinge open really wide, and it can slightly move forward as well because of the nature of the pieces. But the top part is, I think, was new for 2021. This is when they first introduced these parts. And I really like this sort of turquoise colour they've used for the dragon here. And there's a lot of cool scaling and detailing in black and gold on the head, just so it gives it some extra detail and character. And they've also done it sort of where it's an asymmetrical design. So on one side, he's got this quite sort of wide open crazy eye. And you can also sort of imagine it like it's some sort of crazy or like really jovial or happy sort of dragon. And on the other side, it's sort of squinting to where it looks a bit more like angry or whatever. So you have a bit of a choice of how you want the dragon to look, whichever way you pose it on the shelf or when you're playing with it. But it also just gives the dragon itself such a unique character to so many of the other Lego dragons released, because it just doesn't have such a bleak expression. And as you can see some of the brick assemblies here just attaching to the head as well as the horns there. And opening the mouth, they've done a really cool design for their tongue. And they've just put some parts here and attached a red claw which just sticks out the side of the tooth here. So it just sort of emphasises that sort of silly nature of this dragon in the show. But moving back to the neck, it is on just two simple mixel joints here. So you get posability at the base of the neck as well towards the head. So that's really nice. And then obviously the colour scheme continues down here in that turquoise and some sand green and gold. And I feel like it's a really nice combo for this set because it's obviously branded as a Lloyd set, but I feel like it can go with any Ninja or just stand on its own. That also comes into play here with the saddle, which is actually removable, so you can actually make it into a wild dragon like they did with the hunted sets. But yeah, this is just another simple assembly, and obviously you advertise to put Lloyd in here, so he just goes in like so. And obviously you can sit him on the dragon there. And then I'll come to the Lloyd minifigure in a moment. But yeah, that's the saddle. And I really like that you can remove it from the actual dragon. It's not just built into it. And then he's got these sort of simple winglet assemblies, which I don't think they're supposed to be like actual full wings. It's supposed to be sort of like a land dragon almost. But it just gives it some nice ornamentation and some character. So you can imagine them sort of like quills or something, and they are on mixel joints. So you can move them around a little bit to pose them like they are wings, or imagine them like spikes or whatever. But those are a nice addition. And I really like the shaping of the body here, how it's sort of this like arch design where the belly dips down. And it gives it makes it sort of like dog-like almost, especially with how posable the legs are and stuff. And obviously they've never really done a dragon build like this where it's got this really strange shape to it. Now that is fixed in place, so you cannot arch the belly into a straight position or bend it the other way, so it is fixed there. And they've just done a really nice job closing it all up with lots of different slope pieces to give it that sort of natural, sort of organic look for a dragon. And there is some sticker detailings up towards the saddle here and that gold detailing. But moving to the back, probably one of my favourite features is the tail. I love when they do this with the dragon tails. They've basically made like a massive chain link with all these Technic pieces here. And basically you can just flap the tail around at will. So it's not fixed in place with like mixel joints or whatever. So you can't really fix it into one position other than left and right, because it will just sort of fall due to gravity. But I really like that, especially from a toy perspective. It's really cool to have that sort of wagging tail. And I feel like it definitely fits into the character of this dragon, where I haven't seen this part of the show yet, but it's probably supposed to be like this sort of dog-like creature, which has a lot of... that is just very emotive, to be honest. And I feel like they've replicated that really well in the sort of features of the set. So those are the sort of main play features, just like the design of it, really. There's not really any like stud shoots or whatever. But I feel like the way they've designed it sort of just creates much more of a character rather than just a simple dragon build. And then coming to the legs, they are just sort of your typical dragon legs here, where they're on these ratchet joints towards the hip. So you get a good range of motion here, but the ankles are on some mixel joints there. And they've done a really nice way of rounding the legs off here with these curved pieces as well as these curved plates. And you get a good range of motion here, and there's lots of posability you can do for this dragon, which that's another thing I really like about it. Then the front legs are a little bit different. They are a bit more slimmer, and they use some different pieces, so the assemblies are different, with some of these rounded dome pieces here to sort of replicate like a shoulder almost. But the hands, or the feet rather, are actually the exact same builds on all of them, apart from the front left one, which has this little chain on it, so you can imagine it was once held captive and then eventually freed. But I like how they've included that detail there to keep it a little bit asymmetrical and obviously tell a bit of a story when you get this set and when you build it. So that's really nice. Before I move on to the minifigures, I'm just going to show a few poses you can get this dragon into because of how dynamic it is. So here we have him in this sort of prowling pose, and you can see how low down you can actually get the dragon because of the way the body is. But this is one pose I like to sort of display him in sometimes, where he's just sort of prowling, sort of like a dog, maybe hunting for some prey or something. You can get their head in some really nice spots as well, so that's one of the poses I like to do. And then here I have it just set up in this sort of offensive pose where he's sort of swiping with one of his front claws. Because also what's really good about this set is he's really stable. So you can afford to basically stand it on like an uneven amount of limbs or whatever, so he doesn't always have to be on all fours with some of like the other heavier dragons, which are way too big to probably do something like this. So that's just another pose, and I'll do one more and then we move into the minifigures. So this one's a bit more of a silly pose, but you can actually pose him on two legs, because you can basically just rest him on his back tail, and you can just have him standing up, or like if you have him behind another build, have him like peering over like a little bear or something. So that's another really cool pose. So without further ado, let's move on to the minifigures. So just as epic and amazing as the set is, so are the minifigures. So one of our first here is Lloyd, and he's obviously sort of the main character of the set here. And this is probably one of my most favourite Lloyd minifigures they've ever done. I just love the island aesthetic they've done for the minifigures from this wave in 2021. But just taking a look at some of his accessories first, So he comes with just one of the big bone pieces, which is intended for the dragon. And a piece that was new for 2021 was this golden machete piece. And I really love this piece, and obviously it fits the theme of the island. He's probably using this to cut down bushes and stuff, but it's a really nice new mould, and he comes with one of the tassels on the end from the Ninjago movie. And you're probably all familiar with this. Been coming in sets since 2011. It's just a simple silver katana now. So let's move on to the minifigure. So his torso detailing is really cool. It's quite rugged because obviously he's supposed to be just sort of adventuring through like a jungle island. But it's mostly on this dark green design. We don't often get like just a really dark green Lloyd with sort of as his base colour, and then the light green being his sort of complementary colour here. You've got his little symbol on his belt here, which just has some gold detailings, which is reflective. It's a bit hard to see against the green background sometimes. But they've used a nice sort of mix of 3 greens. So they also used some sort of this pale olive green as well for sort of this bandana that's coming down in these pouches here. He's just got some leaves down here on his bandolier, which furthers continues down his torso. And as well as that, the detail comes down to the legs as well. So he's just got that sort of simple ninja wraps around his knees, and as well as his green belt here. And turning to the back, he does come with a scabbard. I will take that off to show you the back detailing. But he did come with an all-new dual-moulded hairpiece in 2021, which is just his headband and hair combo, which has become more common now. But that was a really nice piece to get when I first originally got this set. Then, moving his green half mask, which has been coming in sets since 2014. He has 2 new face prints for this theme, and it's sort of exclusive and locked behind this version of Lloyd. So he has just sort of this simple green face paint here. But his first expression is just this sort of simple, sort of stern, bleak expression. And turning it around, it's him sort of grunting, and he's much more angry here. So that's really nice to get with this minifigure. And turning to the back, we've got some more of that sort of jungle robe detailing with this sort of hex pattern on the back. So his symbol would be there, but it's just covered up by that bandolier. So now let's move on to the next minifigure. So the second and final ninja of the set is Zane, and he only came in one other set, so this was the cheapest way to get him at the time. But I also really like this minifigure design, especially with the half mask and the hair, because I think this was the first instance of getting his Ninjago movie hair, but in the silver colour. So he comes with his bow here, just in black, as well as a black quiver on the back, which I'll show you in better detail in a second. And I really like how his design is sort of like he's half exposed with his actual sort of robotics here. You can see like his heart and like his chest detailing, and that continues to his arm, which is supposed to obviously have no clothing on it because he is the titanium ninja, he's a ninjaroid. But I really like the simplistic design of him. His is a lot less rugged and more organised than Lloyd is, but I feel like it obviously fits with the character. So we've got some more bandolier detailing. We've got a symbol there up in silver, and some sort of mechanical sort of pouches down here, just going along his belt, and then he's got another light blue belt down the bottom, and some knee pads as well. I really like how they've used his colours with Zane, where they've just sort of sparsely used the light blue, so it makes it really stand out against the white and the silver on this minifigure. And obviously turning to the back, he's got his quiver there. But just to show you this hairpiece quickly, so obviously the Ninjago movie hairpiece is sort of like half cut off, so it doesn't fully cover up the back of the minifigure. So because of that, he does only come with one facial expression, which has been his facial expression since like 2018, but we've recently got a new one. But yeah, just the sort of angry Ninjaroid Zane. Then on the back, you've got like the port on his head, just because it's sort of sacrificing the secondary facial expression. But taking that quiver off, we can see more of that detailing underneath there. So it's just sort of similar to Lloyd, where the bandoliers continue over and you can see more of his back there. So now let's move on to the 2 villains. So our first villain minifigure here is just a Thunder Keeper, and these were all new for the 2021 wave, and these are some of my favourite villains that they've ever done for Ninjago. So as you can see, he comes with just a white spear as his accessory, so he just comes with one weapon here. And the favourite part about this is the colour scheme. There's light purple as well as this mask piece that they made. So this is an all-new mask piece. I don't think it's been used in any other set other than Ninjago sets. But it's got this really cool sort of design here with this teal colour again, and these like really angry like teeth and eyes, and I just love the sort of colour scheme of it, and it looks so cool and fits the obviously characters really well. But taking that off so you can get a better view of his chest detail, he's got this sort of wooden like tunic almost, which is supposed to be like armour. It almost looks like samurai plating. And that just is continued on the back here, and you can see some of his skin underneath, which is that awesome like purple colour. Then his head print is really cool. He's got these sort of tusks coming out of the side, and he's sort of smiling. And it's a bit hard to see because of the light, but he does have like white face paint on. But yeah, it's really hard to tell against the colour of the actual minifigure. And then that actually does continue around to the back here. So that is the Thunder Keeper. Now let's move on to the final minifigure. So this character is actually named, his name is Paul Eric, and the standout feature of him is obviously got two heads here. So his torso detailing is the exact same. He's got that sort of wooden tunic armour here, and that continues round to the back as well. But yeah, that's the only sort of carryover as well as the first head. But yeah, his unique feature here is that he's got two heads stacked upon each other, and it's not often you actually see minifigures in Lego do this, where they stack two minifigures' heads on top of each other. But I feel like it really works well here, and it's really cool. I don't have any minifigures or characters like this. But he's got the same head here, where one's smiling and the other one, which is more of like an angry sort of frown. And he's got purple face paint instead of white. And that's really cool. And at the top, he's got the sort of Nuddercan ponytail hairpiece, which is held in by a stud. And he does also have a dark green face mask, so you can actually flip that around and put it on his head there, covering up the mouth. But I like to have it turned around so you can actually see both faces clearly. But yeah, that's the last minifigure of the set, probably the most unique, to be honest. So let's move on to my final thoughts. So in conclusion, this is probably one of my most favourite LEGO Ninjago sets, and probably one of the best Ninjago dragons they've ever released for the theme, especially in recent history. I find that the design change back to the brick moulded head, from brick built, it was probably one of the best choices they've ever done. Because I feel like it just gives the dragons much more of a character and a much better expression, rather than just sort of bleak parts to sort of make up a dragon head. It doesn't really look like a dragon, to be honest, most of the time. But they've done it really well here, given it a nice character, obviously, in this sort of jaw piece design, and like the way they've designed the face here with the two eyes and whatever. And it just really helps elevate the build, to be honest, because it's already a really good build, but I really like the head on this one. But also the minifigures are outstanding in this set, and one of the reasons why I was really excited to get this set at the time. So this is probably one of the best Ninjago dragons, and I would recommend trying to look for it on the aftermarket if you're into the Ninjago theme or want just a solid like dragon build for your collection or whatever. This is one I would definitely pick over all of them, especially over the ones at the current market at the moment. It's still one of the best, I think. And as well, it sort of sets itself apart from the other Ninjago designs, where it's not really the conventional sort of European dragon with like the big wings or whatever. It's gone for this more sort of like, almost like it's supposed to be like a real sort of giant lizard almost, where it's got these sort of winglets here, but they're not actually like real wings. So I find that really interesting about the set in that regard as well, how it's much more unique than the sort of typical dragon you get from the Ninjago theme. So if you enjoyed this video, feel free to leave your thoughts on the set down in the comments below, and that's going to be all from me from now. So without further ado, I'm going to sign out. Goodbye, guys.